Hey everyone. Whoa, positioning is off. Let's fix that. There we go. We're gonna have to move this. Boom. Thing. You can see a tennis ball. That's cool. Hey everyone. Welcome back to the most interactive wrestling show on the interweb. Welcome back to Wrestling with Omer. I am your host, Omer Q, as always, here to answer all your questions. If you have a question, please leave it in the chat. This is a fan-run show, so best way for you to be involved is just leave your question, comment, whatever in the chat. Got a few guiding topics that we're going to talk about tonight, but other than that, it's all in your hands. Make it count, people. Appreciate everyone who's tuning in, though. Be sure to also hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released if you're one of the newbies in the chat. And also, if you want to make sure and guarantee your question or statement is answered live on the air and given ample time and it's answered, leave a super chat. You got 202 Degrees kicking it off saying, Omer, give us an update or give us a Mercedes Moné update. This is interesting. So there's a lot of talking about Mercedes Moné, where she could end up, how she could debut. Is she still in play for the Rumble? We heard the Wrestling Observer radio this week that say that I don't believe it was Meltzer, but I do believe someone on Wrestling Observer Radio said that there are certain people in WWE who expect that she could be in play for the Rumble, and it's not out of the realm of possibility. Now, I think those reports have been largely dismissed by other people, most notably Sean Ross Sapp, who broke the story that Mercedes is essentially as good as All Elite. I'm not going to say she is All Elite. I think the reporting has kind of stated that, she's expected to be in AEW, and it would take something big for that not to happen. I believe Andrew Zarian of Batman Pro Wrestling has also stated that Mercedes is expected to be in AEW at some point sooner rather than later. So at some point, I expect Mercedes to be in AEW. Of course, that could change. Negotiations happen. Things break down. CM Punk is in WWE. Anything can happen in the world of professional wrestling until ink is dry on the dotted line. You never know what's going to happen. 202 says, I know, Omer, you're tired of of the updates about Moné. No, I love Mercedes, so I love talking about it. And honestly, for me as a fan, like wrestling free agency and talking about where free agents could go and all that kind of stuff, that is very interesting to me. I think that's personally why I believe that right now in 2024 could be one of the biggest years in pro wrestling history, period. Like, I truly believe that. I think free agency has a lot to do with it. You got McIntyre's contract up later this year. You have, of course, Seth and Becky are the big ones, although not many people expect them to move. But there's a lot of stuff that's, out there and possible because these contracts are up. And man, like, you got the TV deals on top of that. These companies have boatloads of money that they're going to want to spend on free agents. Kazuchika Okada is someone we're going to talk about later on in this show. So, I mean, there's just so much possible in 2024, and that's why I'm excited. So, I don't mind answering questions about Mercedes. I don't report these things. I am not a wrestling reporter. Please never say that I'm a wrestling reporter. I'm not talking to YouTube, but just anyone out there. I'm a dude on YouTube who talks about wrestling and reads way too much wrestling news. So, I am happy to give my thoughts, opinions, and a little bit of shit posting in between about what I think is going on and things like that. I like to think by this point I've developed a decent amount of I know I have a decent amount of media literacy in general when we're talking about serious news, but even wrestling media, it's always going to be a little bit of speculation and speculatory, but it's very, I found a way to kind of okay, what's believable, what's not. But at the end of the day, you never know. That's the wonderful thing about wrestling and being a wrestling fan. There's so many ways to enjoy it. That's why all things considered, I'm happy to be here. We also got Ricochet's contract being up. You're right, 202. Ricochet's contract is up. That is definitely someone who you could see move. I actually expect Ricochet, I think, to field some offers at least in other places. Because I think, man, like, he is going to be a very hot commodity come 2024, come its contract coming up. You also have, of course, Jinder Mahal, former WWE champion Jinder Mahal, as well in WWE, and I believe the New Day. Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston, their contracts are going to be up. It would be crazy. It would be very, very crazy if they moved. Again, I have no insight on this, but it would be very hard for me to see Xavier Woods, especially leave. Just considering the relationship that he's had with WWE with up, down, down. So yeah, wow. Omer said Ricochet's a top free agent. I mean, yeah, I think he is. Like, you talk about in-ring talent, man. There are not many wrestlers in the ring who are more fun to watch than Ricochet. He's someone that every indie promoter out there is going to book. He's someone who every single other company, like TNA, is gonna want that dude. AEW is gonna want to get Ricochet to have that match with Ospreay. Like, Ricochet versus Ospreay back in 2015 blew people's minds. Ricochet versus Ospreay in 2024, 2025 would absolutely melt them. Like, they had one of the most spectacular matches I've ever seen back in the day. Like, they were doing, it was literally like I was watching anime. Superheroes flying around the ring. It's one of the coolest matches I've ever seen. And I know Jim Cornette hated it. And he went on a big, I hate this. They're breaking the business, mother trucker. And I was like, okay, come on, Jim. It's okay. It's just wrestling. If you don't like it, you don't like it. It's okay. There's a lot of wrestling, personally, that I don't like, Excuse me. We got Frito's Cat saying, what do you think about Young Bucks on Wednesday? I found it funny. I thought, I chronicled this in my AEW Dynamite review. So for my full thoughts on this, be sure to go check that out in the archives. It was from Wednesday night. It was our live stream on Wednesday night. Actually, one of the better live streams we've done recently. I think that one's about to hit 1,000 views. So big shout out to everyone there. Also big shout out to everyone watching. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you're watching in the chat. Got 5 people watching, only 1 like. That's not a good thing. Come on, guys, hit that like button. Anyway, I'm scatterbrained. I just had some caffeine. Let's do it to it. I probably sound like such a freaking idiot right now. What do you think about the Young Bucks? I also thought it was pretty funny. I think the way I think about it, right, is the Young Bucks have always been what they've been. At their best, and what got them over, is being themselves. And the Young Bucks, the characters, if you ask me, what are the Young Bucks? What's their character? Their characters they are the biggest trolls on the planet. And they are also the best tag team on the planet. They will talk all the shit in the world and back it up 10 times fold. They can walk the walk, talk the talk, do everything in between. And that's why people hate them. Because not only do they run their mouths all the time, they do all the insider jokes, they have the vlog and everything, but on top of it all, man, they're just that damn good. And I love the fact that they're embracing the EVP thing as a character trait, because it's something we all know is true. It's a big criticism of the Bucks, that they're the EVPs, and that people don't like the fact that they're in charge of certain things in AEW, but at the same time, they're talent, right? And I think the way they told that, and we are not Nick and Matt anymore. Call us by our birth given names, Nicholas and Matthew. I'm I love it, because I think they are playing into every single trope, every single every single criticism that's been thrown their way. They're playing right into it. Even the CM Punk stuff, they alluded to it. They were CM Punk, or not CM Punk, they didn't say his name, but Sting, he's a good veteran, but AEW's changed. And part of it was you had a lot of cancerous veterans come in and change what this was all about. Wrestling is fake saying, why you lie? I never lie. On purpose. 202 Degrees says Ricochet versus Ospreay again. That would be crazy. It would be epic if that happened. And I'm telling you, man, like, if I'm Ricochet, like, there's going to be a market for him. Like, there's going to be a market for Ricochet. And like WWE could be where he ends up too, because WWE might be like, no, here's money, stay. And he's like, oh, I like money. I like being with my partner here. You know, that there's a lot of things at play, but I mean, Ricochet definitely is someone who's going to get a lot of interest when his contract is up. I guarantee you that. Speaking of contracts being up, we got a big one to talk about here, and he is a former multiple-time IWGP champion. He's a multiple-time Hall of Famer in my book. He's like one of the best wrestlers to ever walk the earth. Kazuchika Okada is leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he will field offers in free agency. There's a lot of places he could end up. We've seen him pop up already in TNA. He did that. He made his return to TNA. He made amends there after TNA back in the day treated him horribly, made him dress up as the Green Hornet gimmick. It was one of the stupidest things I've seen a wrestling company do, as far as taking an all-time talent and putting them in an all-time shitty gimmick. It was like such a bad gimmick. I cannot overemphasize that enough. But after all that, Okada came back, and all is right with the world. Okada is a free agent. There was a lot of people who were speculating that, could Kazuchika Okada end up in the Royal Rumble, which is coming up next week? And the understanding that I have from all the reports that we've seen about this is Okada would only be able, because his contract, remember, doesn't run out until January 31st. So the only way that Kazuchika Okada would be able to appear and enter the Royal Rumble would be if New Japan allowed it to happen. And of course, New Japan has been very courteous with this Okada stuff. They've thanked him in the press release. The booking towards the end was I'm not going to get into it completely. There were things that if I was booking Okada's final run in New Japan, I would have booked differently. To be honest, I would have had younger guys go over on him a little bit more than they did. But that it is what it is. He had the big match with Bryan at Wrestle Kingdom that he won. He had another big match, another great match with Will Ospreay at Battle in the Valley. But as far as where he ends up, man, like AEW as 202 Degrees in the chat says, fits. Like, that is an automatic fit for Kazuchika Okada. I think it's going to be interesting to see how he fits into their weekly episodic TV. Like he's someone who, if he goes to AEW, I would rather have him mainly as like a collision guy. Like that's where I would position him, as like a collision guy, just so he feels special. Because what I worry about, and what I've always worried about with AEW, is I worry about guys getting lost. It happened to Andrade. It happened to Keith Lee. It's happened to a bunch of free agents they brought in. Even happened to Miro a few times now. I don't want that to happen. AEW has a habit of doing that, and I think, things are a little bit different now with the way that they're structuring things and the way that they're telling stories, and that's great. At the same time, doesn't alleviate all those concerns for me. So I would rather have him tell more focused and continuous stories on Collision on one show than, being forced to, or than just being like, we have Okada and like, it's great. I love Okada. And I would love to see the matches he would have with people in AEW. At the same damn time, there's a lot of stuff in WWE. There's a lot of TV room in WWE. There's a Raw. To this day, WWE has trouble filling out Raw in a week. Don't get me wrong, Raw is good some weeks, but it's still a lot of filler in there. And you could fill that time with people like Okada, showcasing him. And I'm telling you, if you're Kazuchika Okada, I'm not going to get into the mind of Okada too much, as far as saying, I know what he wants to do. But, there is something for like someone who is like in his late 30s, like Kazuchika Okada is, like the question is, one of the questions I should say is, do you want to be, wrestling, once a week or a few times a week, whatever, and making good money, but wrestling a very hard style, which like you would be doing in AEW. Okada would basically be wrestling just like a little bit, like a style that's like a little bit of a step down from his New Japan style, which is like really rough. Or do you go to WWE where it's a much slower style? Like, and that's not necessarily a criticism of WWE. It's just the truth. WWE is a much softer, toned down, slower style than most other wrestling companies. That's just the truth. Because on one hand, they have to do less, but on the other hand, you have a lot of wrestlers who wrestle multiple times a week. So it's better that they don't, go all in, right? So, pun not intended. But anyway, so like you could go to WWE, wrestle much lighter style, and make a lot of money. I mean, like that like at the end of the day, that has to be a motivator for Okada or anyone in free agency. Like you have to look at the money. Like, okay, wrestle a softer style, wrestle longer, make more money, or like make a lot of money in AEW too. Like make it probably more, if not just the same amount of money you would in WWE. Wrestle like maybe a few times a week or a month, I should say, or like I don't know. It's different. It's different. It's a different style, and of course, I'm sure there's many other things that are on Okada's mind. But the fact that it looks like we are getting Okada in North America, and he is going to be a North American wrestling star, that is big time. It's not something I ever thought would happen. Like, it's hard to contextualize how big of a freaking deal this is. Like, getting Kazuchika Okada in for any company, WWE, AEW, whatever, full time would not have been a possibility, would not have been anything you would have thought just 5 years ago. Yet here we are, the landscape has completely changed. Okada has changed and evolved, but man, like, I don't know, it's very exciting. Like, for someone who watched him in New Japan, who watched all the Wrestle Kingdoms, watched the G1, watched him kick ass at time after time after time, it's surreal that this is going to happen at some point. Like, within the next few months, Okada is going to be somewhere. Like, you can almost guarantee it as I drop my pen. You can almost guarantee it, and it's just so crazy. We got a bunch of people chiming in the chat. Welcome to everyone who's joining. Be sure, if you haven't already done so, to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Also just released a video on the channel about Rollins' injury, an update on Rollins' injury. I go in depth on that in that video, but we'll talk about it a little bit later on in the program. Let's go shout out. Let's go real take roll call real quick. We got Charles in the chat. Good to see you, my man. Saying apparently Okada was underpaid in New Japan, and that's crazy. I would say compared to what he could be making in WWE and AEW, he probably was. He probably was. Okada is getting the Ospreay deal. I think he could get an Ospreay level deal. Like, he is that damn good. TNA Day, nobody knows who Okada is. There are enough people who know who Kazuchika Okada is that that they will, like, he will be a big star. Like, remember, like, people said the same thing about, like, Nakamura when he came to WWE. People said the same thing about him. He's a big star. He's not the biggest star because booking and WWE ruining his Royal Rumble run, but that's neither here nor there. But, like, so I think, like, just because, like, there's stars from Japan coming over and they're not, like, well-known in the States, I think it's a bit of a misnomer, especially amongst wrestling fandom. Like, it is hard-pressed to me. Anyone who considers themselves, like, a wrestling fan or, even someone who, like, casually watches wrestling, I think if you poll, like, more than half of people, the majority of those people would know who Kazuchika Okada is. Like, at least know that he exists and know of his presence. We got Cornelius in the chat saying, WWE is overcrowded. AEW booking is shit. Okada could be screwed either way. Hey, man, you ain't wrong. There are, like, I'm not saying it's perfect, right? Because you're never going to get, like, you're never going to get the perfectly booked run anywhere. Because each wrestling company does have flaws. I mentioned it with AEW. I think it's hard to focus sometimes in their creative. With WWE, it's, you don't know. You just don't know, like, how much they're going to be invested in that person at that amount of time, or at that point in time. Kervin says, yeah, but AEW have a lot of talent, not a lot of spots on TV. That is an issue. That is certainly an issue. Raw is still good. Raw is still not good, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not saying it's a good show consistently. There have been good shows, but 3 hours for me is just so damn long. I can't watch. The only thing I'm going to watch outside of, like, you know, like a great movie, like, for 3 hours is football. The only, like, live sport I'm going to watch for 3 hours is football, basketball, something like that. I love wrestling. I really do. Are you talking about Raw? Like, weekly episodic filler? I'm not doing that. I'm sorry. I can't watch it live. That's one of the reasons why I don't watch Raw live, is because I'm like, sometimes I need to, first of all, I need to go through all those commercials. I'm not watching your 3 hour commercial. No, we're not doing that. But, you know, like, on top of it, it's like, sometimes, like, I don't need to see R-Truth, you know, or every R-Truth segment. Although, the Judgment Day stuff is pretty funny. I will say, him making, like, tens of thousands of dollars selling shirts in the parking lot, and Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio like, hey, I'm good with him joining the Judgment Day, is, like, so hilarious to me. I love that. We got Cornelius saying SmackDown was cool. It's a 2 hour show. Easy watch. SmackDown's on live right now. But, I shouldn't have told you that. Don't watch SmackDown. Watch me instead. Yeah, a friend of the show, or a big fan of the show, I should say, Date Mike. Mike, good to see you. Saying, why can't we have nice things? Seth with a torn MCL meniscus. I know, it's very sad. It is very sad, but remember, he did suffer a torn MCL back in 2017, right around this time, and he was, in fact, able to wrestle at Mania. So this is definitely, like, it's not a good thing. Like, we still kind of up in the air what his status is going to be. But it could have been a whole hell of a lot worse, especially if it was a torn ACL. That would have been game over for like 9 to 12 months for Rollins. Charles says AEW also Forbidden Door, introduce Okada to the world. Yeah, I mean, well, not even that. Okada, like, remember, Okada has wrestled in North America before. Like, even like between TNA and AEW, he wrestled. Like, he was on the big what was it? Oh, God, what was the name of that show? It was the big Madison Square Garden show with ROH and New Japan. I think, was it Worlds Collide? New Japan, ROH, Madison Square Garden. That was a massive show. That was a G1 Supercard. Freaking amazing show. 16,000 people strong. Main evented by one, Kazuchika Okada. Just saying. He main evented. He main evented a Madison Square Garden show that was not run by WWE in 2019. Big fucking deal. Oh, just use an F-bomb. Whoops. Very unprofessional of me. I apologize. Massive deal, though. So joke's on you, Omar. I'm poor. I don't have cable. Oh, no. I've been there. I've been there, man. That's why, look, sometimes you just got to Google watch wrestling live and see what comes up on Google. That's what I used to do. But big shout out to you, Fritos Cat. Love to hear from you all the time. Corbin says, this is the year of the injured, not jokes. I mean, 2022 was a big year for injuries too. Like, that was back, you had Bryan out for an extended period. You had Adam Cole out. You had CM Punk get injured multiple times. That was but injuries are a part of wrestling, and that's why it's important for a wrestling company to have stars lined up that can potentially win the belt at any time. R-Truth is literally the number one merch seller in WWE. That's wild. It's crazy, isn't it? We got DGS22 saying, WWE is more storytelling, so Okada has a manager who speaks for him. I'm struggling to see how he fits. Also, AEW has a lot of unused talent, so I prefer he go to TNA. Okada in TNA as Mr. TNA, having feuds with the likes of Moose and Dolph Ziggler, Josh Alexander, that would be crazy. It would be crazy. And if that happens, man, you're going to have a lot more people watching TNA than they are now. Definitely. Okada washed too slow. Oh, that's... Sir. Or ma'am. Or whomever you may be. I don't know what to say to that. I don't know what to say to that. We got Charles saying WWE, Okada's friends too, AJ and Balor, Shinsuke. Yeah, very very possible he could go to WWE. It's very possible that you guys could put a smile on my face by hitting that like button, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell. When you guys hit that like button, you know what happens? More people see the stream, more people see the show, more people subscribe, the community gets bigger, and we get better. So be sure to hit that like button if you haven't already. I see 11 of you watching, 5 people have liked. Let's get that number up to 10. Let's go. Love that. But yeah, to kind of round out the Okada news, the other thing I will say is, man, like Kazuchika Okada, like it is like I said before, it's kind of hard to contextualize Okada for those who have not watched them. If you haven't, I just suggest you go watch any of his matches with Omega, or his match with Bryan at either Forbidden Door or Wrestle Kingdom. Honestly, the Wrestle Kingdom one, if you really want to get a flavor of like Okada's style, I highly recommend you go watch that. I mean, you can watch it. You can watch it on New Japan World, I believe, for like $10, or whatever. So we'll see. We got Frito's Cat leaving a super chat. Oh, well, that's very nice of you for saying you were poor earlier. Please, when I say leave a super, not that I'm not thankful. I'm very thankful. Thank you so much, Frito's Cat. I hope you have a very easy time at work. I hope it's not too stressful. I hope that you enjoy your time at work, because that's what life is about. It's about enjoying the hell out of every single second, whether you got to work, whether you got to play, no matter what you got to do. I hope it puts a smile on your face, because you just put a smile on mine. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Going back to Okada. By the way, Frito's Cat, if you have another question, always feel free to put that in the chat, man. We'll spend some time on it. As far as Okada goes, for the how it's going to translate to the new fans and fans who haven't really seen him wrestle, I really think it's unionize right now. That's all I'm going to tell you. Unionize. It'll still be kind of hell, but it'll be a better hell. But oh man, a big shout out to you for getting our packages on time, or whatever you do for Amazon. Big shout out to you. Always support the workers, even if you don't agree with the methods of the company. Always support the workers. Appreciate you, Frito's Cat. But yeah, as far as how Okada is going to translate over to the new fans who haven't seen him before, I think he's going to translate over pretty well, because I'd argue that he wrestles not as hard a style as Nakamura did before he came over. And the reason I'm using Nakamura as the example is he's the big guy who came over from New Japan back in 2016. He was really the model for Triple H, especially booking New Japan guys in NXT. So I think him coming over and having that success, especially early on, being as over as he was, but also wrestling a style that was hard hitting as it was, there's no more hard hitting guy, I should say, than Nakamura when he was in New Japan. And Okada isn't as rough in the ring, or as stiff, I should say, or strong in the ring as Nakamura was. So I think it'll translate over pretty well. It's just going to be a matter of who he wrestles. Hell yeah! Big shout out to Fritos. We love you, Fritos, and I love Fritos. Next time I'm gonna go out and get like a bag of Fritos and eat it just for you. Big shout out to you, and shout out to Charles too. Big friend of the show. Lots of friends of the show. Real Take Roll Call. Put your name in the chat. Say what's up. Put your questions as well in the chat, what's on your mind. Like I said before, it's a fan-run show, so You guys make this show what it is, literally, because I have like 2 topics that I focus on just because I need to have a conversation starter. But everything else is completely dictated by you. I remember I spent like one of these shows just literally talking about like movies. So you want to talk about movies? You can talk about movies. You can talk about wrestling movies too, but you can talk about anything you want. Just put it in the chat, and hear me ramble and converse with you. Like, this is my chance to converse with y'all, and I appreciate it. And I appreciate y'all spending your Friday night with me. Well, let's jump back into the Rollins news while we wait for more chats to come in. Parched. But going back to the Rollins thing real quick. I've mentioned this before, and it's kind of related to the free agency stuff too. The good, and I'm not saying it's a good thing that Rollins gets injured, obviously not. But if you're WWE and you're faced with a situation where you have a star like Rollins, who is a world champion, who gets injured, then you have put yourself in a good position to have people who can automatically step up and be in the world title picture. You have a Kevin Owens. You have a Drew McIntyre. You have a Damian Priest who's holding the Money in the Bank briefcase. You have CM Punk on Raw. Those are just 4 guys. Sami Zayn. Could be a time for Sami Zayn to get a belt. Like, you have so many guys on Monday Night Raw, and I haven't even named Cody, even though like we all think Cody's going for the WWE Championship. But there is a lot. There are a lot of stars that WWE has, and that's the thing that WWE has that AEW doesn't, is just massive star power. When stars get injured, WWE's able to bounce back quicker because they just have an abundance of names and stars that can carry the program. With AEW, they have people like they have people that can step up. They have people who are great in the ring. They have fantastic professional wrestlers, but they are lacking as far as big-time star power at the top. They have a couple, but it's not enough that when like you have 1 or 2 of your big stars, you have Bryan go down, you have Punk go down, you have Moxley go down. What do? One would say that's why you got to build up new stars. You got to build up Samoa Joe to be a main eventer. That's why you've seen recently in AEW an emphasis on younger wrestlers. Danny Garcia has been spotlighted more than he has in the past. You've had a guy like Hook get a main event match for the All Elite Wrestling World Championship. Tony Storm, Deonna Purrazzo having an in-ring segment. Mariah May getting a lot of time on TV. This is the type of stuff that if you're AEW, and aside from signing major free agents, which I do believe they are going to be in play, like they're going to be in play for signing some of these big free agents in 2024, outside of that, you got to build up your own stars, and this is the perfect time to do it because it's the calm before the storm, and the storm is going to be you're going to have eventually Mercedes come in. Some people may say Okada could come in. There's a time where Ospreay eventually in March we know is going to come in. There's going to be a lot of star power and big names going over to AEW fairly soon. So right now is the time, right before all that goes down. You want to make sure you're building up your younger stars to be spotlighted. So you saw Private Party get meaningful time on TV against Top Flight. Like I said it before, I'll say it again. This past week on Dynamite, I think this was a perfect show. This past Dynamite was a perfect Dynamite. And because everything on that show meant something. Everything on that show had a purpose, and everything on that show, in my opinion, was entertaining. We got Cell in the chat saying WWE, the only company that can do wrestling right. Vince is the master, is perfect. Well, I disagree with that last part, but WWE does a lot of stuff right. I will say that. Charles says they also considering Roman and Cody as triple threat match. I don't. Look, you want to hear my Cody Rhodes rant, go over to youtube.com/WrestleVibes, new channel. Go over to WrestleVibes. I just put out a big video about Cody and a big rant about Cody, I should say. Kevin Owens is good. You damn right, Kervin. You damn right. Yeah. Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. What else is in the news? What else we got talking about? Guys, by the way, if you haven't already done so, do me a big time favor. Smash that like button. Smash it. Like, you know how like the Hulk smash? Smash like. Smash that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Been on the air for about 35 minutes. We'll continue to be on the air for the next little while. But let me see. What else we got in the news? What else is going on in the wrestling verse? You guys are about to go exploring with me. Oh, SmackDown is on. I need to go watch that at some point. No, Randy Orton opened SmackDown? Hell nah. No. Randy Orton opened SmackDown with a promo? I swear, Triple H is trolling the hell out of me with these Randy Orton promos. I love Randy, by the way. I really do love Randy Orton. My thing, though, with him is, like, I'm so triggered every time I see this man open up a wrestling show with a mic in his hand. And it's not because he's necessarily a bad promo. I just remember the dark days of wrestling. That was part of the time where I stopped watching wrestling for a little bit. It was back when Randy Orton was on top, and he would come out and do a 20-minute slow promo to begin Raw, and I would just be like, okay, we're done. I don't need this no more. Be like, you people don't understand. Okay, I just get triggered now whenever I see Orton open Raw. Charles says, do you have any info on the Ospreay debut? The road to Revolution. He will be at Revolution. He's finishing up with New Japan over the next couple of weeks, but he's expected to be at AEW Revolution. He teased it when he announced that he'd signed with AEW, so expect to see him at Revolution, a show that I am, at this point, probably going to. It be like that. I just, like at first I was like, flight's too expensive. Tickets are crazy, all that stuff. Probably won't get a media pass because AEW doesn't like me right now. Or I don't know if they don't like me. Hopefully they like me, but maybe they're just overlooking my brilliance. But we'll see. Go tweet at Tony Khan. Tell him to please give me a media pass. Ask him very nicely. He might listen. As I just chill for myself. Let's see. What was I talking? I don't even know what I was talking about, guys. I don't even know. I don't even know what I'm singing there. You got any info about Mercedes? I discussed this at the beginning of the show, but I'll reiterate, like, she's expected to be in AEW sooner rather than later. There was that one report from Wrestling Observer, I believe, that said there are people in WWE said it's not over, but the prevailing thought is Mercedes will be there. Saying stop begging for a VIP pass. I'm not begging. I follow the process, my man. Begging would be, please, Tony, please give me money and a VIP pass. I'm not doing that shit. Also, there is I do find it funny that people you know what the funniest thing is. I'll say this on the air. The funniest thing is when people legitimately say, how much is Tony Khan paying you? Bro, I don't there's this misconception I think from I have a few trolls. It's not that many. I'm not even a big channel like that, but I do have a few trolls. And one thing is they'll say, oh, you make money from AEW, you cover WWE, all that. You make so much money. I don't make money from YouTube, bro. There's no money in this. This is for fun. I'm just here. I'm taking time out of my Friday night to talk to y'all about wrestling because I want to. So, it'd be like that. If y'all it'd be like that, man. I'm just here to talk about wrestling. Would it be cool? If I got to cover it more up close and do more journalistic, quote unquote. I'm not gonna say journalistic. I won't do journalistic stuff. But would it be cool if I got to do interviews and stuff like that? Yeah, it'd be cool if I got to do stuff like that. But I don't make money from this, so there's only a certain amount of time I can commit, and I think Longtime watchers of the show, longtime followers of the channel will tell you I do donate a lot of time, or devote, I should say, a lot of time to this. And it's because I want to. It's because I love it. Like, I love talking about wrestling. Wrestling's one of the few things that brings me joy. I mean, not few things. There are a lot of things that bring me joy. I have turned into a very happy person over the last few years. And wrestling is something I get a lot of enjoyment out of. It's football. It's wrestling. It's spending time with my family. It's reading. I've started reading again. I've got so many things in my life that bring me joy, but wrestling is one of the top ones. So that's why I talk about it. Yeah. So like, I don't know. Like, if anyone out there, and I'm not saying this is you, wrestling is fake, which is, I will say, an objectively hilarious name for a troll, but you know, like for the 2 or 3 people out there who consistently are like, you know, you're getting paid, you're making money. It's just a goddamn lie. I've heard no girl, no girlfriend. You're funny, bro. That's funny. Oh man. All right. If only. Oh man, I love trolls. Because you know what the best part about it is? They're still giving me engagement. Keep giving me engagement, bro. Keep it going in the chat. Keep it going. Love you. So, do you think Rollins will relinquish the title on Raw on Monday? I don't think so. I think he'll. I think he'll continue to. I think he'll continue to hold the belt, and they'll just kind of play it out till Mania. I did say this. I do think that there's a possibility that Rollins ends up, you know, like, getting the Money in the Bank cashed in on him. Like, there is that possibility that the Money in the Bank briefcase, like, just comes into play and Priest beats him. Like, and that gives Rollins enough time to, you know, rest up. But then, like, he could still wrestle at Mania. Like, it could just be, like, this is a convenient time to get the briefcase off of Priest. Because it just feels like, at what point is Damian Priest going to be champion? He's got till July to cash this thing in. And right now feels like the time to do it. I'm just saying. Right now feels like the time to do it. So, let's see. Saying we're always nail the impression. Well, I mean, I do a lot of impressions, as you know. We love Seth. Big shout out to Seth Rollins, though. Seth's a good dude. Big shout out to Seth. Hope he gets better soon. Why wrestling fans take wrestling seriously? I mean, it's not just wrestling fans. It's like fans of everything. Like the one thing you'll find, right, is like there's people, I think, like, blame the internet a lot for the toxicity we've seen in fandom in general, because it happens in football, it happens in basketball, it happens across the board in sports, in different, like, types of fandom. You got crazy Harry Potter fans, crazy Taylor Swift fans, crazy Tom Brady fans, like all across the board, right? And not even crazy, like toxic, really, is what it is. Like toxic, you have toxic fans across the board, and like, but they've always existed. It's just a lot more of them have the avenue of, you know, easily pissing people off online by, like, trolling them, like, and like. So, I mean, wrestling fans, I think they are a little bit more predisposed to it, I guess, but I don't know. As far as wrestling being serious, I mean, dude, like, we all watch wrestling. I like to think we all watch wrestling just because, like, it's fun, you know? Like, are there things in wrestling that I, like, take seriously? Hell yeah, there are. But, like, that comes with fandom. Like, you love your favorite wrestlers. Like, you love to talk about them. When they lose, you're kind of upset. Right? Like, it happens. Cell in the chat says, that is a great name. Cell. Big shout out. Says, what's up with MJF? Is that a story or nah? Is that a story or nah? Here's the thing. I believe that MJF signed an extension when he came back at All Out 2022. I have always thought that he signed an extension for more money when that contract dispute happened. And I also believe that this is a work. The bidding war of 2024, them taking his name off of the website, all that kind of stuff. Tony Khan mentioning that his contract ran out. It is a work. Because had he actually left, there would be way more talk about it. There'd be way more talk about it. I definitely think there would be way more people, and Tony Khan himself would talk about it in a different way. Right now, he's working. Like, it's funny. You could tell when Tony's kind of working and when he's like being serious. Like if you watch enough like interviews of him, or if you even just pay attention to like his tone, kind of like. And like here's the other thing, man. Like, you haven't had that many reports come out about this. And I think it's because MJF is still with AEW. He's just taking time off because he's injured. And, of course, the Bidding War 2024 was a story to begin with. It's just going to me, in my mind, it's just going to make whenever he returns even bigger, because you're going to have the aspect of, is he a free agent? Is he someone who has not signed a contract? Wrestling is Fake says, go to sleep now. Oh, are you going to sleep? Good night, man. Charles in the chat says, maybe TNA will sign Okada. It's possible. Never say never in the world of professional wrestling. It's very well possible that he goes to TNA. Like, Ziggler's in TNA, now known as Nick Nemeth. Yeah, Will Ospreay wrestled on Impact this week. Man, TNA is back, both in the literal sense and the figurative sense. They are back. So, all right, guys, we are heading down the home stretch of this show. You got anything you want to talk about, be sure to leave it in the chat. It's saying this email from, reading some updates here. So Rollins had a torn meniscus, torn MCL. We knew that. We've talked about that. Let's see. Here we go. Here's what we're going to do. 1, 2, 3. Bam. All right. So now that's taken care of, we got Kerbin saying, what WWE game you want to see remastered? I mean, Here Comes the Pain is the big one. Like, I love that game. I want to see Here Comes the Pain remastered. Another one I want to see remastered is SmackDown Shut Your Mouth. Like, I grew up on those two games. It was Here Comes the Pain and SmackDown Shut Your Mouth. Those are like two of my favorite games I've ever played. I also was a big fan of like the SmackDown versus Raw, like the original SmackDown versus Raw. Like, those are the first real games that I played as a wrestling kid. And so those ones for sure. I also like would love to see them like kind of like recreate like the old what's it called, the was it Day of Reckoning? Yeah, I think those are the name of the games. The Day of Reckoning games. Those are really cool. It's awesome. Report people don't talk about MJF. Yeah, and look, I'm telling you, man, it makes things way more interesting for sure. It definitely makes things way more interesting. So, and you know what else makes everything interesting? All you people in the chat. Well, most of you people in the chat. Appreciate every single one of you, though. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's been a fun about 40, 50 minute, whatever long I've been live. Guys, for more videos, of course, go check out the archives. I have my full thoughts on Seth Rollins and the injury update that we gave earlier. My full thoughts on the breakdown of that and how that's happened and what could be next. Just left it in the chat. Be sure to check that out. Go watch that. Hit that like button on that video as well when you do. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more videos, podcasts, live streams, and reactions, all that kind of stuff we do here on the channel. Be sure to do that. Go over to youtube.com/@OTGraps for more content from my OT Graps co-host, Trevor. Until next time, this has been fun. As always, guys, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Gotta say it. It's like a nervous tick. But also, more importantly, I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Make some more videos this weekend. There's a Royal Rumble video essay coming out this weekend that I'm really excited about. So, yeah. Hope you guys enjoy it. Last chat here from Charles saying, who will be facing Punk at Mania? Him versus Priest or Drew would be nice, in my opinion. I think Drew versus Punk happens at Elimination Chamber. I think if Rollins is ready to go, that's a big if, right? If Rollins is ready to go, it's Rollins Punk full steam ahead at WrestleMania. Because that's the money match. But I guess we'll see. Until next time, everyone, be happy, be healthy, and as always,